Nature has and always will be my home. Animals were my first friends. The trees were my first playgrounds and jungle gyms, the ocean my first inspiration, and the forests were my first true love. It started with the tiniest of creatures, from salamanders and butterflies I would admire for hours on end, to frogs who hopped into the palms of my hands, and caterpillars who I always saw as symbols of change. Protecting them came natural, because I looked at them like family and they trusted me as if I was theirs. As I grew and the world became much larger than I had ever seen, I began to realize the scale of those without a voice. The ocean I considered my spirit's home, the forests I grew up in, and the animals I grew up with were silent. Since I turned 9 years old, I've done everything in my power to be that voice, starting with going vegetarian almost 10 years ago, to now beginning my career in wildlife conservation and traveling abroad to protect and preserve as much of this planet as I can. What I've learned from who and what I've seen and where I've been is you can create change if you understand what it is you're fighting for. When you see the rivers as the lifeblood of this planet, the animals as the organs that the earth needs to survive, and the way it all connects together, you realize how important it is to care. You see the eyes and hearts of those voiceless creatures as friends and family. You become fascinated by what is below those lakes and waves we like to take photos of, and you view the sunsets as opportunities to do better as each day comes. You want to explore those wild places and keep those places wild because you care, and once you care, you can really fight. You know what our greatest superpower can be? Empathy. We've already discovered it with our pets and animals that we love, but when we put it to the global scale, we can be unstoppable. Another power many of us forget we have is the ability to choose what actions we take every day we wake up, and how that will affect the world around us, from the tiniest of creatures to the largest of creatures and places. I choose to live sustainably, not just for me, but for those tiny creatures and those large animals that taught me the beauty of this earth, and who showed me empathy before I could even learn it myself. For the friends that were there for me in the forests and the oceans before I even realized what friends really were. We can choose to care, to speak up, and to replenish what's been lost, to fight for the wild places to keep them wild and to respect their power. From the animals that we consider useless but actually provide us with the most valuable resources in the world, to the most dangerous animals on the planet that we demonize and consider aggressive and violent. All of those animals are a part of these wild cycles that give us the air we breathe and the food that we eat. The beaches we lay on, the oceans we swim in, the forests we hike through, and the animals we take photos of or watch on TV. They all give us such joy and love, but we give very little back to them. Even in the deepest depths in the oceans, we have reached it with our trash. And on the tallest mountain peaks in the world, our signature is there. We have the power to sign off on this earth for our future generations, to have and to protect as we can now. Something I've learned recently is we, no matter what age you are listening to this or where you are from, we rely on the thoughtfulness of the generations before us. Without the people who decided to think differently and make change, we wouldn't be as free as we are today, and for that we are all thankful. We can do the same for those who come after us, so they can see the rivers we float down and the coral reefs some of us fly halfway around the world to see. We can change, because we've done it before and we need to now. So you may be wondering, why am I showing these beautiful places and experiences, rather than the deforestation, plastic pollution, poaching, etc.? That is the reason we have to fight for the earth in the first place. Number one, sadly, copyright. No, mainly it's because, to me, Earth Day is a beacon of hope. A day to recognize all the wrongs we have done against the natural world, with the mindset we can change and we can do better. To replenish these natural places, to re-wild the wild areas, and to sustain not only the precious animal and plant species, but ourselves. I'm showing these amazing animal experiences I've had firsthand, because they remind me, on the most hopeless of days, that they are still out there, maybe even in our own backyards, and my voice is still needed. Through using our empathy to fight and educating ourselves and others, we can be on the right side of history. I firmly believe that we are so disconnected from the natural world, because we are taught that it is playfulness and childishness that does not allow us to grow up. But I believe that harnessing the power of your inner child is what allows us to fight for what we believe in, because we find that passion and that joy in it. I firmly believe that the bare feet on the mud and looking at these beautiful places and squealing with joy and finding that inner peace in these wild and natural areas is what drives us to really be better. When we can really harness that energy we had when we were little kids and we wanted to play outside all day long and dig in the dirt, we can look at these animals as friends and family rather than enemies or something that we can use for our own benefit. when we challenge our own biases and look at dangerous or misunderstood animals, instead with the ideology that they are all a part of the natural life processes and they are vital to what we believe in, then maybe we can start changing how we view the world around us. Not just the forests and the oceans, but the creatures that we consider pests, or consider annoying, or consider useless. Every single being, whether it's wild or our own pets that we value and we love so much, are all a part of this natural life cycle that allows us to thrive and live. The orca whales and the San Juan Islands began my passion for the sea when I was 6 years old and I was within feet of them for the first time. I was scared at first, but once I overcame that fear, I realized that love, compassion, and knowledge can dissolve fear, specifically knowledge. They taught me that respecting the power they hold, while admiring the gentleness and compassion they can show, takes a whole lot of empathy from within us. Like I said before, that empathy is our power, our ability to do something right after so many wrongs. So on this Earth Day, I say thanks to the animals, plants, and places that I will fight for as long as I can, to the tiny creatures that began my journey, and to the ones I have yet to meet, but will forever love, because we, are all a part of this earth. This is our only home, and wow, is she worth fighting for.